from CBC Ottawa, this is Newsday Final.
Good evening, I'm TRICIA MacDonald. We welcome viewers from across Ontario tonight for this special Canada Day broadcast. What a party! Across the province and across the nation tonight, people were singing, dancing, and celebrating Canada's 125th birthday. The biggest celebration took place here in the capital. Downtown Ottawa was jammed with more than 150,000 people, perhaps the largest crowd ever taking part in Canada Day festivities. Steve Fisher reports.
The crowd jammed Parliament Hill and all nearby side streets long before the show got underway. Joyce Balaz came here at 7:30 this morning.
Well, so far it's been 13 and a half hours, and we intend to spend another 4 here.
You must be really patriotic.
Definitely. We love Canada.
We came down here to enjoy the music, the fun, and the people, women, everything.
Well, I think we have a great country and we should celebrate.
In fact, it was a celebration of Canadian musical talent. Jeff Healey,
I could love someone.
Celine Dion, and Anne Murray.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Mesdames et Messieurs, Sa Majesté la Reine Elizabeth II.
Parliament Hill may have been the focal point of the party, but all across Ontario, people were celebrating Canada's birthday in their own way. 2 teams from Canada and Britain set a new world record by climbing and rappelling 450 meters down the CN Tower. A group called Just a Bunch of People from Canada unveiled their mural in downtown Toronto. It's called 125 Reasons for One Canada. And there was a special children's birthday party at Queen's Park.
Happy Canada Day, Windsor!
In Windsor, a parade to celebrate 2 birthdays, Canada's 125th and Windsor's 100th. Here in Ottawa, the heads of the regions from both sides of the Ottawa River solidified their friendship, literally, on the interprovincial bridge. The plaster cast will be bronzed and a plaque erected here to commemorate the occasion.
We'd like to show to the people that we share together, that Canada and we share our region together.
Many hoped it wouldn't end. A massive crowd remained on Parliament Hill late into the evening. They were rewarded with a fireworks display fitting for a 125th birthday. Steve Fisher, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Canada Day party started early today in the capital, and the Queen was an important part of it all. The CBC's Julie Van Dusen has more now on the Queen's Day on Parliament Hill.
The Queen arrived on Parliament Hill to thousands of cheering admirers. On this beautiful sunny day, the Queen seemed to enjoy the festive mood. Governor-General Ray Natishan paid tribute to Canada's diversity and singled out the place of Aboriginal people.
There is a new respect for Aboriginal Canadians, both among non-Aboriginals and Aboriginals themselves. A new appreciation for the majesty of their past and a sense of shared exhilaration in their rebirth.
In his speech, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney offered reassurance to the Queen about Canada's future.
Let me tell you today, Your Majesty, on behalf of the thousands and thousands of Canadians here today and across this vast country, that we shall not suffer Canada to be broken.
In her remarks, the Queen had pointed advice for Canada's leaders. They must compromise, she said, to achieve a constitutional deal.
By thinking first and foremost of the national interest, Canada's interest, they will be able to unite all Canadians and establish a constitution which will serve the country well in the decades to come.
The crowd was especially enthusiastic when the Queen offered praise for Canada's peacekeepers in the former Yugoslavia.
They seek to bring peace under United Nations auspices to a dangerous situation in Bosnia. They serve both Canada and the cause of peace with courage and conviction. As Queen of Canada, I salute their contribution with pride.
The question of unity was on the minds of many here.
I feel that we have a wonderful country and would like to see it stay together.
For the most part, though, it was a day just to celebrate.
I think it's the fact that you look around and you see so many people from different backgrounds, speaking different languages, and we're all together as one family. I love it.
A giant birthday cake for a giant party. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Both the Blue Jays and Expos celebrated Canada Day with victories. We'll have the details coming up on sports.
And taking a look at the most recent satellite picture, a very weak feature. Line of clouds stretching across cottage country across Lake Ontario may plague some of you tomorrow. The rest of us will see sunshine. Of all the details in just a few minutes.
A float plane crashed in Ontario cottage country today, killing all 3 people on board. The accident happened near the community of Calidar, about 50 kilometers northeast of Belleville. The plane plunged into the shore and exploded during its second attempt to lift off from a lake. 2 men and a young male were killed, but their names have not yet been released. Most of the citizens of Markham, Ontario commute to Toronto for work. But there's something that many people in Markham don't want back from Toronto. It's garbage. Established garbage dumps close to Toronto are almost full, and that means the province is casting an eye around for new landfill sites. As Ingrid Walter reports, many Markham residents hope the province looks the other way.
Frank and Suzanne Whittemore support their family from what they make every summer from their strawberry farm. It's been in their family for 6 generations. They fear they may lose it because the province has earmarked land 200 yards away from their farm as the site for a garbage dump.
We're worried that we're going to have to move. We're worried that it might contaminate our water supply for our ponds for irrigating the strawberries. We pump 1 million gallons a week at least to keep them watered, and we're just worried that we might have to finish everything and not be able to farm here anymore.
This large residential area known as the Bridle Trail is another area in Markham slated as a possible dump site. A dump site which could also end up taking in metropolitan Toronto's garbage as well.
Around Metro Toronto, you have in a number of other regions, and they haven't been singled out and say that you are the ones to accept Metro garbage.
What people have to do is simply put forward a strong and coherent case as to why it shouldn't happen.
Approximately 900 trucks of garbage will be dumped every day in Markham if the province's newly formed Interim Waste Authority chooses the Markham sites. Markham residents are furious and are showing their anger on every inch of roadway possible in the city today. Their anger has been mounting since early June when the province released its preliminary list of 57 possible dump sites in Peel, Durham and York regions. A short list of 4 to 6 favored sites in each region is scheduled to be announced in September. Mayor Roman says the city will be doing all it can to make sure that Markham is not on it.
Based on that, I think it's discriminatory and it has to be opposed.
The city of Markham will be presenting its technical report to the province's Interim Waste Authority on July 15. Ingrid Walter, CBC News, Markham.
Ian Black joins us now for the weather. Ian, what a great day for a birthday party.
Fantastic day today. For most of us, the extreme southwest and the extreme east saw a lot of sunshine. In the middle, places like Huntsville, Muskoka did see a few showers.
What about tomorrow? Just as good?
Tomorrow won't be bad. I think the bulk of the precipitation, our next go-round, will come sometime through the day on Friday, starting in the southwest, and the weekend doesn't look all that good at this point. But let's take a look at the maps, because the maps explain it almost as well as I do, I suppose. Let's take a look at this picture here. And what we have is a low-pressure system. You can see it spinning around up here when we put this into motion, and it sort of drags these clouds across the region today. And you can see them right across Georgian Bay and through, the Toronto area. That may oscillate very little tomorrow, so that will give them the clouds. The extreme southwest, the extreme east, will see some sunshine. for tomorrow. Let's take a look at the big picture. Boy, there's an awful lot of clouds here for the beginning of July. This is much more typical of an early spring condition, the low pattern swinging around here. Watch the thunderstorms flaring up here. That will be our next weather maker. We'll get back to that in just a second. First of all, a cool day for much of the country today, temperature-wise. Well, below normal throughout much of the country, except, of course, way up in Whitehorse. They were close to 30 degrees today. Now, this is our next weather maker here. Let's take a look at what happens over the next 24 to 48 hours as this rapidly makes progress from west to east. I think through the day on Friday, you'll start to see the moisture overspreading the region, and the weekend doesn't look that good. The forecast for the Windsor area tonight, calling for mostly clear skies, a low of 15 to 18. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine and warm, up to 27 degrees tomorrow. For Toronto, look for variable skies tonight, down to 14. A lot of clouds tomorrow, possibly a shower, a high of 21. And it looks pretty good here in Ottawa, variable skies tonight. And for tomorrow, look for a mixture of sun and cloud, the high of 23. Showers overspreading the region on Friday. Tricia.
Thanks, Ian. When we return, an entire town turns over a new leaf for Canada Day. Arctic adventurers have returned from their dramatic journey to the north. Canadian Richard Weber and Russian MIKHAIL Malakhov came back from a 100-day trek last night. Chris Goldrick reports.
This morning, Richard Weber and his Russian partner MIKHAIL Malakhov were wearing T-shirts and enjoying the warm weather as they unpacked their gear at Weber's Kingsmere home. Last night, they returned home after trying to become the first explorers to ski unassisted to the North Pole and back.
It was hard. It was really difficult, incredibly difficult.
Weber, Malakhov, and American Robert Martel set off from Ward Hunt Island on March 13th. They headed to the North Pole, about 1,000 kilometers away. They planned to be totally self-sufficient, pulling their supplies along on toboggans. Almost immediately, conditions were tougher than expected.
We had a lot more deep snow than I've experienced in the past. We had for the first 2 degrees. That's almost 200 kilometers. We had knee-deep powder snow.
In the beginning of June, we had huge pressure ridges, and some of them we crossed for several hours.
The conditions were so bad that the American Robert Martel decided to turn back. After going missing for several days, he was eventually picked up by the Canadian military. Weber and Malakhov say the rescue, which cost taxpayers thousands of dollars, wasn't necessary.
Oh yeah, he was fine. He was only, 15 miles from Ward Hunt Island. He still had 2 days' food.
Weber and Malakhov pushed on and eventually got within 25 kilometers of the pole almost 3 months after they started. They say that was close enough to be official. They turned back, but shifting ice conditions forced them to give up 650 kilometers from their goal.
It still remains the great challenge in the Arctic is to get to the North Pole and back.
For the time being, Weber and Malakhov have no plans to try the trip again, and Weber's wife says that's fine with her.
We will have to do a lot of talk. I think it's time for both of us to move on and do something else.
So although they didn't achieve their goal, the two men did set a distance record for unaided Arctic travel, an accomplishment both men say they're extremely proud of. Chris Goldrick, CBC News, Kingsmere, Quebec.
Everywhere you look today, you could see a maple leaf. A lot of people wanted to show off our national emblem. Well, Mark Van Dusen came across an entire town west of Ottawa where they went to great lengths to show their patriotism.
Oh, yeah. Ouch! Put our shirts on.
The birthday spirit set in early at the Baird home in Carp.
Okay.
Sporting the Canadian colors, anything red or white was the patriotic order of the day.
Well, it's Canada's birthday today, so we're going to celebrate it. 125, that's right.
Okay. You see, the Bairds are about to set out on one colorful Canada Day mission to make their mark on the maple leaf.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to see my face.
That's right.
Several times.
I don't blame you.
Thank you.
And the Bairds weren't alone. Seems most everyone in this little community was out to answer the same old Canada call.
Because it's Canada Day. It's something different and it's special.
Yeah. So they came in red and white droves to the Haskell Jenkins farm. They came on this anniversary day to deliver a gift of themselves. a gift as grassroots as can be.
Having an aerial photograph taken of a maple leaf that we've cut out in the hay. We did that a couple of days ago, and now the people are arriving.
And what are they supposed to do?
Basically, they're going to mingle, speak to their neighbors, meet the general other parts of the community, and eventually we're going to walk into that maple leaf and take a picture.
Are CARP folks going to be able to pull this one off, or what?
I have no doubt about it in my mind at all.
On every other day of the year, this is just a field of hay. But today, July 1st, Canada's birthday, it's a field of dreams. What's your dream for Canada on its 125th birthday?
Oh, stay united.
Unity.
More unity, probably.
Together, they gave their gift in the grass, a maple leaf made up of people. People from a little place called CARP, wishing the rest of the country all the best on its birthday.
The waving was nice and the shouting was nice, and seeing everybody that we knew, yeah, it was great.
Mark Van Dusen, CBC News, CARP.
One of Canada's best football players is sidelined by CFL rules. Dan Sagan has that story next on Sports. Dan Sagan joins us now for sports. Dan, that was quite a Canada Day at the Skydome today.
Absolutely perfect. They couldn't have written a better script for this one. Jays fans have learned to expect a win when Juan Guzman's on the hill. They got one today at Skydome, despite the fact that Juan was not around in the 10th inning when this one was decided. Pretty good ball game against the Texas Rangers. In the second inning, Texas opens the scoring. Guzman will field the bunt by Dickie Thon. Can't do much with it, though. The run scores, and it's 1-0. Jays tied it up on a sac fly, but in the 8th, it's the Rangers again. Dean Palmer slashing the single to left. Jeff Houston comes in to count, and it's 2-1. But back come the Jays. This is the bottom of the 8th now, and Devon White lines one into the corner and right. He legs it out for a triple. Manuel Lee comes in to score. That sends us to extra innings when off of relief ace Jeff Russell, Greg Myers goes the other way for the game-winning double. Derek Bell, who had a big ball game for the Jays, comes in to score, and they win it by a final of 3-2. Dwayne Ward gets the win over Jeff Russell. Guzman gave up only 5 hits, struck out 9 in his 8 innings of work. The Jays take the series 2 out of 3 and now enjoy a day off before opening up a 4-game homestand against California on Friday night. The second-place Orioles kept pace with a 7-4 win over Milwaukee this afternoon. Bill Wegman pitching for the Brewers, and he was touched up for 3 home runs. Sam Horn gets one there. Brady Anderson and Billy Ripken doesn't hit many, gets one right here. 7-4 the final. Ben McDonald was the winning pitcher in the game. Greg Olson gets the save, and the Orioles remain 1 game back of the Blue Jays as they head to Minnesota for a weekend series with the Twins. Other games, Matt Noakes homered for New York over Kansas City. The Red Sox scored 5 in the 7th to beat Detroit. Mark McGuire, move on one more of their guys. Mark McGuire cranked his 27th home run for Oakland over Seattle. If we can move ahead, there we go. Oakland's win 3-1. Minnesota and California. Minnesota keeps pace with the win. Jim Abbott, tough luck this year, 4-10 despite an ERA under 3. Mark Whitten hit one out on a losing cause for Cleveland against Chicago. Craig Graybeck was 5 for 5 for the White Sox. Montreal Expo fans are also celebrating tonight. Dennis Martinez, Jeff Facero, and John Wetland combined to shut down the Philadelphia Phillies. 6-3 was the final as the Spos take the series 2-1. They get on the board early in this one, the Expos do. Larry Walker goes the other way. Bloops the single in. 2 runs scored to Shields, who had 4 hits in the game, scores. So did Grissom. That made it 2-0. Some fine defense in the bottom of the inning. Ruben Amaro robbed by Arki Cianfrocco. Cianfrocco also had an RBI triple a little bit later on. John Kruk homered for Philadelphia. They're welcoming Eric Lindros to town there, but the Expos win this one. At a final of 6-3, John Wetland picking up the save. Martinez the winner over Kyle Abbott, who is now 0-10 on the season. The Expos now head west where they take on San Diego tomorrow night. Let's roll through the rest. Pittsburgh still 6.5 up on Montreal after shutting out St. Louis. The Mets get 2 in the 12th to end Chicago's 3-game win streak. In the West, first place Cincy lost to Houston on a 9th inning home run by Eric Anthony, but the Braves lose as well, so they remain 2.5 behind. In LA, the Dodgers lose again. Orel Hershiser touched up for 13 hits in 7 innings. Well, another CFL season kicks off 1 week from tonight, but it will most likely do so without one of the biggest college stars ever produced in this country. Buckingham's Chris Flynn was cut by the Ottawa Rough Riders this past week, and it looks like the 3-time Heck Crichton Trophy winner might be ready to hang up his cleats without ever having played it down in the CFL. At their home in Hull, Quebec, Chris Flynn and fiancée Sandy Brassard celebrated their Canada Day by tending to 3-month-old daughter Chelsea. It's something Dad's getting more time to do these days after being released by the Ottawa Rough Riders last Saturday.
Yeah, it's tough. I spent the last 3 weeks every day, all day long with the guys, and I got to know the guys pretty well, and I felt really comfortable in the camp and everything. But it wasn't a total surprise, especially the fact that I didn't get a chance to play very much in the game kind of told me what was going to happen. So it's tough, but, I kind of... It wasn't a total surprise.
What has been a surprise is that Flynn, a 3-time university MVP at St. Mary's, hasn't been able to make a go of it as a pro. After leading the Huskies to 2 Vanier Cup finals, Flynn was drafted by Ottawa in 1991, but he opted instead for the World Football League. He was used sparingly over the past 2 seasons by the Montreal Machine as both a quarterback and a receiver. He did make it to camp with the Riders this year, but was released after running just 1 series of plays against the BC Lions last Thursday.
Coach Meltzer felt I did some things very well. He felt that, I knew the game very well. I had a good mind for the game, and then I was mobile. I just had to work on my arm strength and get that stronger. He's interested in having me stay on the practice roster to develop, but I am 25 years old, and I can't be developing my whole life.
The Riders have said they'll make a decision on Flynn by the weekend, but it seems like he and his fiancée have come to terms with a future without football.
It's hard, he's always wanted to play with the Rough Riders, but there's always other things that...
Yeah, we realize that, just through the past few years, especially with the Machine, that, we've had a lot of time to think about what else we want to do, and, if football doesn't work out, we're both ready to move on, and I'm kind of excited to, go back to school and get into teaching, as I said, and I think Sandy's excited for us to go on ahead to the future, and we have a brand new baby and everything, so we're looking forward to the future.
It's too bad, this is a great country, unless you're a Canadian quarterback trying to get a job in the CFL.
Oh, well, thanks, Dan.
Okay.
And Ian's back for a final word on the weather.
Okay, on one side, the extreme southwest, a sunny day tomorrow, high of 27. The extreme east will see a mixture of sun and cloud. And then in the middle, looks like that line of cloud will line up across Cottage Country, Georgian Bay, across down to Toronto, giving them some clouds and just a 30% chance of showers. But all of us should be in the low to mid-20s.
Thank you, Ian. That's our program for this evening. We leave you with another look at tonight's spectacular fireworks display on Parliament Hill. Thanks for watching. Good night.